Good morning, guys. How y'all doing? It's Lance Campbell here, Campbell's Corner. It's Friday morning. A lot of people are off work today. Us broken hungry are not. I think we work almost every holiday. So if you see me out, cold Coca-Cola or something be nice. Or you can make it my birthday if y'all know what that means. Hadn't had a birthday this month yet, so anyways, hanging out with Kalijah, as y'all know. Story time. I got a good little story today. I'm gonna tell you all about it. I worked for a man named Eddie Lonis for a few years, and while I was working for Eddie, we had Eddie was also a pastor, and he had bought an old bar. He was turning it into a church, and it was hot like it is now. It was mid-August or something. It was hot, and me and the guy that worked with me, we were out there putting lights in the ceilings, and we had anyways, we'd cut a bunch of them in and whatnot, and I had told the guy that worked with me, I said, hey, we need to get up and get over here early in the morning. It's too hot to be up there during the day. 11 o'clock, that was about it. It was so hot, you were just screaming up there. And so he decided, next morning we'd come in about 3 in the morning, and nobody would be around. We could get up there and do what we do. And I climb up, so he's older than me at the time. He's down there on the floor doing the bottom part, and I climb up in the attic, and at 3 o'clock in the morning, it's already hot up there at 3 o'clock in the morning, but it is what it is. It's cooler than 11 o'clock. And anyways, I'm up there working, and I'm just minding my own business, and I got to singing and stuff to myself because I love music, and I always sing and stuff to myself. But I was singing along, and Randy was the guy that worked with me. His name was Randy. He was downstairs, and I'm just singing along there, and I got my headlamp on. I'm up in this attic. It's dark up there. The only thing I can see is what I'm doing. And out of nowhere, I hear a voice talking to me, and I'm like, what is that? And I'm looking around, and finally I see somebody. There's somebody else over there in the attic. And I'm like, oh, crap, man. Because you never know stuff we run into on these jobs sometimes. But this particular time, the person that was in the attic with me at 4 a.m. in the morning was Eddie Lonis, the man that I worked for. And I was like, man, in my mind, I'm thinking, what's he doing up here? And so he starts talking to me. He's up there wiring up lights like I am early in the morning. And as I say this, you just have to see Eddie. He dresses nice all the time, so you would never think that the man would do that, but he did that. I've seen him a bunch of times doing stuff with his hands, so it was a shocking experience. But anyways, he starts talking to me, and he heard me singing, and he starts telling me about when he was younger, he was in a band. And when I say younger, he was 14, 15, 16 years old, on up through the years there, a few years. He had a little band, and his little band was called The Emotions. The Emotions you could see every Thursday morning at the old Martin Theater in downtown Huntsville. If you had six RC Cola tops or a quarter, and you as a young kid, you could go down there and see The Emotions and enjoy the air conditioner and ice cold Coca-Colas or RC Colas at the time. That was a long time ago. Anyways, Eddie went on to tell me that a few years after that, during that time, he had told me that they had a manager that carried him around. They had a van, and on the van it was called the Cookie the Cop van. That was their sponsor, was Cookie the Cop. And in the 60s and 70s, all the good bands had sponsors, and they had this van. They would go to shows, and they had all their equipment was in the van, and they had a trailer that they pulled along behind the van, and they would their shows, you would go out and they would set their equipment up on the trailer and do their show right there for the the world to see right there. Anyways, he went on to tell me that a few years later that they had played and opened for Elvis Presley. This is back in the day, and to hear somebody tell you that they did something like that for Elvis Presley, that was, man, I was like, man, that's to me that's an accomplishment in itself right there. But one of the things and the reason why I wanted to tell you all the story is Eddie ended up being he's a master electrician, but I really think he's an electrical engineer. As far as electricians and guys I've been around, he's got the smarts for it. I mean, he was taught by another older gentleman that I cannot remember his name. So if you see Eddie Lonis, y'all ask him that man's name. If he's listening right now, he can probably tell you exactly who it was, and I can't remember the man's name, but Eddie was really smart. But go back to that story. Eddie, during that time, he wrote some songs and whatnot, and as I was telling y'all, they had a sponsor, and their sponsor was looking for a song. So every time you hear "Looky, looky, looky, here comes Cookie" on TV, y'all think about Eddie Lonis. He's the one that wrote that song and the little jingle, as I should say. And he said it's a big thing to him. He said he don't want any royalties or anything from it. Don't have any proof that he wrote it, but he said that he's the one that come up with it. And knowing the man, I guarantee you he ain't telling a fib about it. Enjoy the 4th of July, guys. It's our 250th birthday. Like, follow, tell your friends, share, Blue Collar Scholars, y'all have a good weekend. Thank y'all.